So now we're in this really weird position where we have the Mad King as president, and once again, everybody's talking about Biden, the best president we've had in 50 years, and everybody's shitting on this guy once again, and it's the same corporate media dinosaurs that are insisting Biden needs to go to the tar pits, he needs to be put out to pasture. Well, what's your excuse? You need to go to the same place he's gone. He's retired. He's out of the game. What is your excuse for still being there? And all this stuff about people are too old, they stay in a job too long, they need to make room for younger people. Why aren't you doing the same damn thing? And we could say this about Jon Stewart coming back to host The Daily Show, Bill Maher wanting to be on Real Time for 105 years instead of giving that spot to somebody else, Bret Stephens over at the New York Times, Ross Dohart over at the New York Times, pretty much half the New York Times, let's just be honest about that, Anderson Cooper at CNN, Dana Bash at CNN, pretty much the entire CNN newsroom if we're being honest, and now Jake Tapper. This guy, I'm so sick of this clown, where during the first presidential debate with Donald Trump, him and Dana Bash did a legitimately awful job. They did debate malpractice at that first debate, and now the same guy who made it his mission to get Biden out of the race, and did it, by the way, Biden did step aside thanks to George Clooney and Jake Tapper and all the people that were worried about their goddamn tax breaks, which is what they were really worried about, pretending that they're heroes because we pushed him to the side, the most economically liberal president in 50 years, and we shoved him to the side. Well, you got what you wanted. He got out of the race, and then Kamala Harris was the nominee, and she lost. So what you tried to do did not work. And we don't hear people like Ezra Klein and all these others acknowledge they were wrong to insist that this is what needed to happen. And then they come back, well, if he'd stepped out of the race 2 years ago, but that's not what was on the table. The only choices were either going to be Biden or Kamala Harris. And then you were raising hell about shoving Biden out of the way. And America, big surprise, did not choose the intelligent, capable, super competent black woman who had more experience than Trump and Vance and Elon Musk put together and doubled. They didn't choose her. Big shock, I know, considering none of the purple states have ever had a black female senator or governor. Kamala herself was only the second black female senator ever, and that had to be in California, one of the most liberal states. Shocking that she didn't do any better than Biden would have done, and we went through that whole exercise for absolutely nothing. Biden, could he have won? I don't know. We'll never know, but we know Kamala Harris did not win, which is what all these people were pushing for, and they were wrong. They were wrong, and now the same people are still out there talking about, well, Biden, he was irresponsible, and there was a cover-up, and his cognitive decline. We have the Mad King sitting in the Oval Office. He literally is sitting there threatening the world at large and American democracy specifically, and you're writing a goddamn book about Biden. Jake Tapper, this is no excuse. You should have left ages ago when you say, well, they need to make room for younger people and younger voices, and they need to make it more competitive and had a mini primary right before the convention. What's your excuse? You've been in the media for 106 years. We know what you're going to say. We know every damn thing you're going to say. You've been a smug prick in the media my entire life. We get it. Why don't you get out of the way and make room for somebody younger and more plugged in and with it? But of course you don't want to do that. These people are crazy to be like, well, Joe Biden as president, he was too old, but as a media figure, it's okay that I stay there for 100 years. Why is that? As president, wisdom and connections and knowing what you're doing and experience, that's actually pretty valuable. That's not something I could come into the Oval Office tomorrow and just do that job, or anybody could do that job. Could I do your job, Jake Tapper? Hell yeah, I could. Almost anybody sentient with an opinion and a voice that works could do your fucking job. So these media people who don't want to step out of the way for something frivolous like a media job that any of us could replace them on, they don't want to do that. But by God, the president needs to be young, dumb, full of cum, some steamed up dude that's 42. This is ridiculous. This is ass backwards from what we should be saying and thinking about. And it's not going to get any better as long as our media establishment is clogged with hacks like Bret Stephens and Jake Tapper. The best take on this stupid book yet was Andy Burowitz, the one guy in the media that he should have his own show on MSNBC. But Andy Burowitz wrote a hilarious article that said, man feared to be cognitively slipping after writing a book about wrong president, and then having a photo of Jake Tapper. I mean, who really cares when the economy was that great and the stability was that good for us? Was that really relevant? Of course not. But we still have these old media dinosaurs that wanted to push out the old man president, but they want to stay there forever. It's backwards.